Welcome to Living Well with Ann Beal. Our show is a health show, a lifestyle show, and an empowerment show rolled into one. Get ready to hear some stories of success, healthy living tips, and suggestions to get motivated and live your best life. Now, here is your host, Ann Beal.
Hi, welcome to the show today. I have a great show. I have a teenager, an 18-year-old pro soccer player from Mexico. His name is Estevan Vazquez. And I wanted to have him on today because he's really made a big impact on me. He is a very disciplined, hardworking, very strongly ethical young teenager, but yet very successful. So Estevan, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ann. How's it going? Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Well, I'm excited to have you on. And I know that we met not that long ago, and you made such a quick impression on me. I wanted to have you on the show. And so how are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing great. Woke up this morning, did a little workout, got a shower in, and, glad to be here with you, Ann.
Well, as I said, you're very disciplined. You already got up, worked out, got here. That's wonderful. So I have him in the studio today. We had a little bit of a sound problem, so we had to separate us, so we couldn't talk right together. But Estevan plays in Mexico, and he was on a second division team. Now he's going to a first division team. So he had a little time free for me today. And so Estevan, I just wanted to let our listeners know about you and how in the world you got to be a pro soccer player at so young. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself today?
Yes. I was born and raised in Sacremento, California. I lived there for 9 years. Then I moved out to Texas when I was 10. And Texas was really where I got started with select soccer. In California I was playing a little bit, but recreational. I was getting into it just because my brother was. But when we came out to Texas, it was something I really, really felt that I loved and I was real interested in doing, because I guess it was what I grew up seeing from my oldest brother. And so as soon as I got in, I just worked at it because it's just something I absolutely loved. It was every time I stepped on the pitch, there was this feeling that I didn't ever want to let go. So I just worked hard to make sure that, instead of sticking my chest out and trying to make sure everybody knows who I am, just got to keep my head down and kept working hard. And with that, working hard and attitude really got me to where I needed to be.
Wow. I do think that attitude and discipline and working hard is very important. Troy Aikman said that he wished all players thought about just working hard as a team instead of worrying so much about getting their own notoriety and, their name out there. It sounds like you did that.
Oh, yeah. It's real different from ball players from back then. A lot of ball players, coming up in the new ages. The players back then, they worried about, the patch on the front, the team. They worried about the club, wherever they were at, the brand, the symbol that represented the city, wherever they were at. And a lot of players right now, they don't, that doesn't mean anything to them. They just worry about the name on the back of their jerseys. And really that's going to separate the great players from the good players. People that are willing to work to make the team better instead of people just trying to make themselves better.
Because there are some really well-known soccer players over the years, that people think of Beckham and people think of, is it Tattoo, or who was it that was really good a long time ago? Can't think of his name.
Tattoo and Indoor played for the Psychics. Yes.
Yeah.
One great striker he was.
Striker, yes. And so, I think that when kids think of, hey, I want to be great like Beckham, one of the best things that they can do in order to achieve that is to do what you're saying, just to work hard. So how in the world were you able to stand out to make pro? Because there are so many kids in soccer. And what do you think for you has made all the difference?
I just felt that I had there's been a lot of struggles. Everybody has their struggles, but it just really depends it really comes down to how you handle those struggles. Me, luckily, when I have hard times in my life, I showed that on the field. I kept working hard. A lot of kids they'll shut out, or if they start getting real good, they'll get real big headers. If you start getting well, it's about knowing who you are and where you come from and what started you. And if things are getting hard, still knowing who you are, where you came from, and what started you. It's really keeping that base is what's going to keep you from getting off track. If you know exactly what you're working for, what you want, and don't let things get in the way, know your priorities and work for them, then you're going to stay on track, and that will get you where you need to be, believe it or not. Work ethic, yes, it may be times where, I'm working hard and the coach doesn't see it, but coaches really do notice everything. So work does not go unseen.
It doesn't go unseen. One of the things that I have quickly come to see, both my husband as well, about you and even your brother. Now it's your younger brother, not your older brother, because I haven't met him.
He's actually my older brother.
That is your older brother?
Yes, ma'am. I'm the baby of the family. Yes, I have two older brothers.
And he is 6 years older than you then, right?
No, the one that you met was 19.
Oh, he's only a year older. Oh, okay. So
and
he's
my
not
oldest brother is Giovanni, and he's 24.
Okay. So Giovanni is the one that really motivated you to get in sports when you were young, right? Younger.
Oh, yes.
But your
Most
mom
definitely.
put you in sports, and you kind of followed Giovanni.
Oh, yes, ma'am. My mom, she was always after Gio with sports. Gio started with baseball, basketball. He played soccer. He played everything. And so my mom was, she was always after it on the fields and stuff. So as soon as we got old enough, she put us in. But, just because you put a kid in sports doesn't necessarily mean, they're going to like it or they're going to enjoy it. But as I was growing up, one of my favorite things to do was watch my brother play. So just watching him play, I don't know, it gave me hunger. It gave me reason to be out there. It gave me motivation knowing that the guy that I look up to, he's working hard out there. And I want to do the same. He's making a difference and something that he enjoys. And that's something that, as I got older, I started realizing and started putting more and more work into.
Wonderful. So you were in lots of different kinds of sports. Did you have any that you hated?
None at all. I actually played a lot of sports. Played basketball, obviously soccer. I played track. I did track, football. I played baseball. I did everything that I could. Maybe wasn't the best in every sport, but because I was athletic and I worked hard, it got me where I needed to be in that sport. And I was pretty decent in those sports, but as you get older and you're playing every sport, time starts running out, and you have to start narrowing it down to one sport that you have to take seriously and make a priority. And that's when I had to actually look at them and realize, what's really going to benefit me and what I truly love. Whether it's not going to benefit me or not, I'm sure a lot of people would say they picked football or baseball because they make more money or however. But I had to sit down and actually look at, I narrowed it down to soccer and basketball. Basketball was actually something I started before soccer, something I grew up playing over there in California with the kids on the block, just growing up. Everybody played basketball out there. But, my brother just loved soccer, and that's what I kind of ended up loving also, and that's what I came down to pick.
So do you think being in all those sports, what do you think it did for you? I mean, it had to take a lot of time, so you probably didn't get a lot of time at home after school.
Yeah, it took a ton of time, but it was one of those things that it really didn't ever bother me from the time it took because I enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed sports. Whatever I was doing, we're always on the fields, whether it be for my brother, for my other brother Christian, or for me. it was just something we just loved being around. It didn't give us enough, didn't give us too much time being on the streets, being other places we weren't supposed to be. We were either being in school or going out doing sports. Or back in California, I want to give a lot of thanks to the Boys and Girls Club over there. They made a big impact in our life. When after schools, they had us over there playing sports, being around adults, helping, volunteering. The Boys and Girls Club was something that we really enjoyed and has made a huge impact in our life that, can also say that helped us with sports.
The Boys and Girls Club.
Yes, ma'am.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I know people, you see commercials about it, and I've heard of people younger that say they like it, but that was where you were able to, after school do sports, right?
Yes,
they have basketball. What else did they have there?
It was actually not. It wasn't really. It was actually like an after-school program for the kids' parents who would work and couldn't really pick up their kids after school because they had work till late, or they just worked maybe till like 6 or 7, and the kids would go over there after school, and it was great. You had pool tables, you had group sessions of like artists, readings, you had libraries, you had a gym, you had a field outside. The adults there, they really cared for the kids, and it's something that, a lot of kids, I was blessed for the parents that I had, but I had a lot of friends that wasn't so blessed that Boys and Girls Club really did miracles for because they didn't have their parents much there for them. Luckily, I did spend some time there, but I had my parents that were there for me. So, it was a program that it's just after school program that was just for the kids that was absolutely amazing, just phenomenal, something that I would never be able to forget in my life. Actually, some of the managers that worked in the Sacremento Boys and Girls Club that we went to for about 5-6 years, the moment when I moved out to Texas when I was 10, that next summer, they had a meeting out for a Boys and Girls Club in Texas, and they came to our house. They came and they ate with us. It's nice that they didn't forget about us. You could tell that the adults there, they really did care for the kids.
Wow. And I don't think a lot of people know that about the boys, the Boys and Girls Club. How how helpful they are to families. When I was young, we had Parks and Recreation, and
Okay.
it kind of was similar, and they had it this summer as well. So I was in a lot of sports all the time after school. I did every sport as well, and I think that one of the reasons it separated me from a lot of the kids was that I wasn't free to really get in trouble because I was constantly playing these games, these sports, and I loved it too. And I had 4 brothers, and so they did sports as well. And but I think for me that it helped me, grow as a person, to become more disciplined, to stay healthy and in shape, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yes, most definitely.
And it also kept your mind really healthy, and you're constantly learning strategies, you're learning team building, you're learning how to be friends, and yet, work hard yourself as an individual, but also work as a team. And I know a lot of kids, even in college, people have trouble working on a group project because they don't have a lot of skills working as a team. And parents, I think that really realizing when I look back how the sports helped me so much as a person to be motivated, to know that if if you want something, you just go get it, And I find that in a lot of athletes that they aren't afraid, hey, I want to do that. I'll just try. I'll just go get it, They're not as afraid of failure because they've experienced a lot of it on the field. And they know that failure, most of the time you succeed, and of course, sometimes you fail. Striking out is just a horrible thing in front of everyone. And so for you, I know you've experienced all that because when I've seen you, how disciplined you are, you're very respectful. The way that you work is very methodical, just doing basic work, not necessarily sports. And I have been impressed, and I was so shocked when I learned how old you were. And I saw these same traits in your brother as well, who was 19. That's the brother I met. And so for you, do you think sports helped build that in you, or was it your parents?
I'm going to have to say, I'm going to have to give maybe 60% of it to my parents and maybe 40% to sports. My mom, maybe my mom just a full for 100%. I really did get a lot of those traits from her, and not necessarily getting the traits because of genetics, but my mom was the woman that woke up every morning, make sure we had everything. We were ready for school. She worked hard. She went to work, came back. Everything she did, she dedicated to us. She worked hard, was responsible. And, those are traits that you really start learning along the way. People maybe don't think so, but kids really do realize everything that their parents do. And day after day seeing it, they start growing as well. And, it kind of goes for sports. Learning from sports, working hard and working with team, you start realizing, maybe if you lose a few games, you sit there and you realize, okay, maybe we should approach this a different way. Maybe we should start working as a team, working a different angle, maybe play a different style. Let's try to work around this. But that really, as you were saying, builds skill from working as a team and being able to do those things. A lot of elite athletes have suffered hard losses in their sports, some losses that they will never be able to forget because of the pain that they have felt. And from that pain, they analyze the game, knowing that the next time an opportunity comes, it's not going to get away from them, that they are going to take it because they are going to be more than ready. And for that to happen, they analyze the game knowing what they have to fix. And doing that, as you play football, basketball, soccer, everything, you're a unit. You're transitioning together. Everything you do as a soccer, your job is to make the person next to you's job easier, or in front of you or behind you. So that way they do the same thing. If you do what you're supposed to, and the person next to you does what they're supposed to, everybody else's job gets easier. It's about working as a team. When people start trying to overdo it themselves, trying to become stars and trying to, be the light shining bright, you're not gonna get a bigger result. But when you're working together with everybody, sooner or later, believe it or not, you're gonna have a team that is beating better teams because they are just better individually, and you guys just have more chemistry and work better together. I've seen a lot of teams, not the best teams that have chemistry and work well together, beat a lot of the best teams that have some of the best players individually. And so, it really just comes down to the work you put in with your team. You learn a lot of the things you do with your team from sports. You do, and the thing is, from what you learn, you can apply it in life. A lot of things I've done in sports, I've been able to apply in life. Almost everything I've learned, a lot of things I've learned in life have been taught with a ball at my feet. So many things, making new friends, learning different cultures, being around people that are aiming the same way you are, that are all working to be there. When you're surrounded in an atmosphere of people that are working just as hard as you and want to be where you are, you feel great. It makes you want to work. It makes you want to get better. And so that I feel that sports and definitely my parents had a lot to do with the self-discipline and focus that I apply in life.
I know that your mom will be so glad to hear that, especially with Mother's Day coming up, and I really encourage everyone out there to thank your mothers, on Mother's Day. Make sure to really thank them for what they did, the good they did in your life, and the things that are good in you that were imparted from them, and things that they provided for you. And that's one of the things I've really learned to do on Mother's Day, is to just be so thankful for my mom and so many of the skills, especially the work ethic, when I look at where my work ethic came from my parents. And so it's a great opportunity. when you said that you take a lot of things from sports and apply them in life, I do think that whether you're working with a group in an office or on a project, or you're working as a team on the field, because one of the things about soccer is you cannot carry that game on your own. You have to use your teammates. And it doesn't really matter how good you are, because, if you were Beckham, you cannot ignore all the other team and run back and forth and make all those goals and do all the things you have to do. You truly have to pass the ball. That's one of the things that makes soccer players so good. They know to pass and use their teammates and have everything set up in like a strategy and a pattern, right?
Yes. And I mean, yes, there's great players. Yeah, there's phenomenal players that will change the game. The players that you would most definitely love having on your team, they're probably the best. They make a big difference in the game. But those players really wouldn't be able to do anything without anybody else. They get those opportunities. They get what they do from the work that the team also puts in. Yes, some players make their own opportunities, but I mean, if soccer was a one-person game, it'd be tennis or golf. Nothing against tennis or golf. I just meaning as if you wanted to be your own superstar and wanted to be your own to have your own the big head and to think you're the best, you could have done a single sport. But to be soccer, basketball, football, you really do have to think in everybody else, because you are not the only one that's working hard. You're not the only one that's breaking their backs. Yes, maybe you are a little bit better, but it's not an effort. It's just because, maybe the skill, doesn't mean that people aren't working hard and they shouldn't get the credit that they're putting in. I think even the great players need to appreciate their teammates. It's a team effort. You can't play soccer without your teammates.
Right. And I think that people get frustrated when they're working with a team of any kind and people aren't carrying their own weight. People aren't working very hard. And I know that you see that on the field with teammates that are on the field and they don't give it their all. They excuse me. They don't do everything they can. What do you do when that happens?
I don't know. That's really frustrating. It's okay when everybody has the days. If somebody's messing up, but if they're working hard, that's okay. You can make the mistakes. Everybody has, everyone has those days. But if you're having that day and you're not working hard and you just completely giving up, that's when nobody's going to want you on the field. Because as much as you're messing up, if you're working your hardest, nobody can complain because you're busting your butt out there. And, I mean, that's really what you want. That's the person you want next to you, somebody that's going to die for you on the team. And even though they're messing up, it's nice to know that you have somebody that's working for you, putting in just the same work as you or working harder. It's really separates the good players and the great players from how they take their bad days. If they completely shut down and just, they gave up that day, or if, they realize, hey, today's not a good day, but hey, I got to keep working hard. I got to keep, make sure that they can never say at least it wasn't for effort. Yeah, maybe I did have some bad touches. Maybe I'm a bad player, but at least it can never say it was never on effort. I gave it my 100% every time. And I feel that if somebody could say that they gave it their 100 every time, they could step off that field happy.
Well, and that really is what makes the difference. I think the frustration, part of it, every player that's on that team is exceptional. That's how they got on the team. They have the abilities beyond what most people can. And so when someone's really not giving it their all, and I know fans even see that when they're watching, it's very frustrating, and people handle it all in very different ways. Some people will berate that player, I bet you don't do that. What do you do when you're so frustrated at a player that's not carrying his weight and not really chasing the ball, doing everything he should do, but he seems like he's just kind of being lazy that day?
I mean, I guess that's a funny question being asked as a goalkeeper, because I yell at everybody. Me, I'm the one in the back that can see absolutely the whole field. I can see everybody, So me as a keeper, I'm organizing and yelling the whole time.
Right.
So we're already at the fact that I'm yelling. If I have to yell at him more and more about the same things over and over, I would really hope that my coach, whatever coach I have that we are playing for, will see that and know that he has to take him out. Knowing that he's not pulling his weight and that people are yelling at him, telling him time after time about the same things, to do the same things, that hopefully the coach will realize no matter who it be, whether it be a star or whether it be, the coach's son, whatever it be, to realize knowing what the team needs and taking him out. So it really, me personally, as a keeper, I yell. So, that's how I would take it, but I would really hope that the coach would really take everything that the team is doing into consideration and pulling that player out.
Right, and that's I forget about the coach. That's the coach's job, right? And I think that people that work in other areas that aren't sports related, that might be the difference. You wish your boss would pull them out, right?
Yeah.
You wish you had somebody who they could switch out like you do in sports. Just, hey, that person's not doing well today, or they're not doing well, switch them for somebody else, right?
Yeah, a little substitution, right?
That would be so awesome. Well, okay, cool. When we are going to take a commercial break, and when we get back, I want to talk more about what it's like in Mexico with the fans, because I know they're extremely serious about soccer. And not just in Mexico, all over the world, really. The U.S. is kind of behind that, and I hope we don't ever get that crazy about, I want us to be crazy about soccer, but not get, dangerous, right, where we, you know what I'm talking about. So when we get back, we'll pick up from there, and then we'll also talk about some of the tools that you use to stay so disciplined and to really motivate others. So stay here, and we'll see you right after the commercial.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
Most married men experience frustration because there are things they want from their wives but don't know how to get them. Nothing seems to work. Desires are unfulfilled, fantasies unrealized, and relationships become stagnant. Men are desperate today for a richer, deeper, more satisfying, and intimate marriage. Dr. Jim Slaughter teaches men how to have the passionate, fulfilling marriage they've always wanted. Call 817-991-4964 or email jslaughterphd@yahoo.com to begin transforming your marriage into what you want it to be.
Mothers and daughters have a unique relationship. There are trying times and loving times. There is joy and there can be heartache. Listen for Communicating from the Heart, the Empowered Mother-Daughter Relationship. Your hosts are Elizabeth Lutz along with her daughters Danielle and Melissa Schonecker. Come with them as they share an open and honest discussion to help mothers and daughters everywhere strengthen and support their own relationships. Listen Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on Voice America Empowerment.
It's time to access your magic. Tune in each week to Living in the Magic of Possibilities with your host, Glenise Hughes. Our topics cover finances, personal health, business, relationships, mediumship, and so much more. If you want to access all that is possible in your life, listen to Glenise and her expert guests who've turned the impossible into the possible. Living in the Magic of Possibilities is heard live every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
We're on Facebook along with some of the greatest minds of the world, and that includes you. Visit us on Facebook at Voice America Empowerment.
You are listening to Living Well with Ann Beal. We'd love to hear from you with comments and questions about the show. Please send us an email to ablivingwell@gmail.com. That's ablivingwell@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's show.
Hi, this is Ann Beal. Welcome back to the show. Esteban, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. On your show.
Oh,
okay, cool.
great. Okay, so we were talking about being a soccer player in Mexico and the fans being crazy at
Yeah.
times. Do you have that experience with fans over there?
Actually, yeah. I mean, me personally, for a game that I've played in, no. But being out there, going to several different professional games, yeah, things get rowdy. They get crazy. A lot of times they get violent. Not a lot of the times. Mainly when they call them clásicos. It's when rivalries play, and that's usually when they get most violent. And usually it's rivalries, or maybe it's or it's the two teams that are from the same city or the same place in Mexico, and those are usually the games that get real violent and crazy because they're both representing that city. They want to show who's best. So it gets a little out of hand sometimes, but it's a beautiful game. It gets bad because it's such a beautiful game and people ruin it with violence. So I mean, some people sit at home, yeah, soccer, violence, fights, and no, as a true fan and as a players, when you see that, it's embarrassing because of a sport so beautiful. It's people are getting in fights and hating each other, and I mean, yeah, people are going to dislike each other, and everybody has their reasons, but I mean, it's really nice to sit there and just watch a good, beautiful game with everybody just cheering on their teams, doing their thing. And yeah, Mexico's not the only place. Europe fans are absolutely crazy. Brazil, Argentina, South America, all those places. The U.S. is probably one of the only places that doesn't have crazy fans. I am gonna have to give it up for Seattle Sounders though. I think they're the ones with the best fan base for the MLS.
Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle Sounders. They have a huge fan base.
Wow.
So I mean, I feel like MLS soccer really is moving up. So maybe, hopefully, in a few years or in the future, we have a lot more fans and soccer's more supported. But hopefully, it doesn't get to the extremes with violence and so much security and stuff.
Well, and why do you think it doesn't seem to happen in other sports so much like it does in soccer. I mean, and even in Germany, my daughter was over and she was in Germany when Germany was playing Holland, and it became crazy violent over there. And I thought, what is it about soccer? It's the actual game that causes this. Do you know?
Yeah, and I can answer with one simple word, and that's pride. A lot of people, because of growing up their entire lives, maybe their parents or because of where they grew up, they really are die-hard fans of their teams, and especially over there in Europe, because soccer is the biggest thing. I mean, it's all pride. So when you have pride mixed in with losing, mixed in with alcohol, mixed in with anger, getting all of that in one person, a lot of things aren't going to be it's not going to come out pretty.
Right.
And you have fans that are winning, that are also intoxicated, that are also diehard fans that, they're going to defend their team. So really it comes down to the pride that they have of dying for their team, but that's really not what it should be about. You should support your team, win or lose, but in the way that you can support them, not showing the rest of the world, because usually when there's big violence like that, it gets played all around the world. Everybody knows. And how do you think that looks on those clubs that their fans are fighting? It does not look good for the club at all. So, I mean, it's hard. It's
What?
Being
Yeah.
as a player, you can't, not being able to control what the fans can do. It's hard for it being out of our hands.
Yes, and I would think that even kids watching on TV, young people are they model what they see. They model what they see in their parents. They model what they see in their heroes, their soccer heroes, and their soccer team, and they see the fans acting like that. And I know that it impacts them. You see parents act like that in like little league baseball games. And I know when you were in sports, when you were younger, you saw some parents really be out of control and disrespectful and yelling at the umpires or whatever. Did you see that?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, luckily my parents were never like that. My dad would sometimes not yell, but try to tell me things to try to help me in goal. I wouldn't always accept it, but he'd try that. My mom, she was never really much of a yeller, but a lot of times there's been parents from other teams or sometimes even from my team that just yell, just rude things to the ref or what upsets me most is when parents yell and talk to the players that aren't their kids,
Right.
that are from the other team or from, being disrespectful to maybe even some kids on their own team, from their own kids' team, just not their kids. And, that's not okay. They're kids, they're growing up. Yeah, maybe if you know about soccer, analyze the game, look at it, you can yell a little, but to your son, your kid, your daughter, let them know, but don't be rude, don't cross the line. If you know about soccer, analyze the game. And, when you're sitting with your kids in the car after on your way home, sit down and, hey, you could have done this better. Maybe we should work on this. You got to work on this, but tell them in a calm way, letting them know what they have to work on. When a lot of kids, they quit sports or they stop playing so well because their parents are just always yelling nonsense. And yes, that will really burn out and frustrate a player very much. So
Right.
A lot of parents don't really think it's phasing the kids, but it is.
It is. And honestly, it's more and more people are having problems with anger. And when you see parents doing that or parents are berating, yelling, berating other kids, anything like that, being disrespectful to the umpire, just really embarrassing their kids or embarrassing the team. Those people, we had parents get in fights on the basketball, court or in fights on the field.
Yeah.
And so they end up getting sent to us at Life Solutions for anger management, stress management. And you know what? It only takes 10 weeks. It does not take that long. So I encourage you, if you're a parent out there and you're doing this at a game and you know who you are, if you're doing that, it's very easy to learn how to get rid of that. It's just some skills you got maxed out with your coping skills. You learn some new skills in stress management and anger management, and you can easily get over that by learning how to have a different perspective. And so I just encourage you, if you're one of those people or people like that, to just really encourage them to get into a counseling program of some kind or life coaching or just a class for anger management. Even books you can read on the anger workbook, or there's one called Good and Angry by Les Carter. There are some really good books out there so that you can learn that. And I know all athletes, right, Estevan? All athletes would appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely a lot of them would. Most definitely a lot of them would. And even more than you expect, because even if your kid doesn't appreciate it, I'm sure a lot of other kids appreciate you.
Right. Yeah.
So,
well,
it wouldn't just be helping your kid out. You'd be helping out, the parents, the kids, the coach, everybody else.
Yes, your family.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, when you said you were in select soccer when you were younger. Now, how did Estevan Vazquez go from being in select soccer to pro soccer?
Well, I was actually playing select out here. One time I was playing for a club called Andromeda. One of the coaches had a tie to a Mexican team out in Mexico. They brought the team, it's called Monterrey. They brought them out to play, a few games with us. The kids traveled over here. They had a good time. The coach, we played against them. The coach liked the way I played. And so, he was like, is it possible if you could bring him tomorrow so we could watch him play again? And so, I went over there for a second time. I played a second game, and they liked the way I played. So they were wondering if I was able to, if I was interested in going to Monterrey to play over there in Mexico. But at this time, I was 14 years old. You know, Mexico was, it was pretty bad, especially over there in Monterrey, right there on the border. So my mom was really worried. You know, me as a kid, that's my dream. I wanted to play out there in a huge club. That's what I wanted to do. I was like, yeah, definitely, yeah, that's where I want to be. But, my mom, she was real worried. I was 14. I would have been out there on my own. We don't have no family in Monterrey. So,
you were 14
no.
when the first time you went, you were 14?
No, they wanted me to go at 14.
Oh, okay.
And, my mom kind of gave it a red light. She said no, I was too young. It was too dangerous out there. So when I was 14, that just stayed in my head. I wanted to play in Mexico. I wanted to play in Mexico because that's soccer's the biggest thing out here. Soccer over here in the U.S. is maybe the third or fourth or fifth sport. And over there in Mexico, it's all soccer. And that's where I wanted to be. And so ever since I was 14, it was just, I wanted to go. From there, I went to FC Dallas Academy.
To which academy? FC? Is that the FC Dallas Academy?
Yeah, FC Dallas Academy. I was there for 3 years. And then an opportunity came up to go to Mexico that I made the decision to go to Mexico. I was, having some problems with FC Dallas for behavior. So when I left FC Dallas, I had a time to make a decision on what I wanted to do. On my own time, I got out of FC Dallas. So I had a time to realize, is soccer really what I wanted to do? And I could answer that question without even second guessing it. So, I went out to Mexico. I was living with my uncles. Found a second division that was interested in me. I went out there for a couple months. Worked hard. It was a big struggle out there for what we got to go through over there in Morelia for the second division. But I learned a lot, and now it's just working to. I got 2 teams pending right now. It's Pachuca and Leones Negros that are in the first division, and they both want to see me again in June. So just waiting on that. But yeah, that's how I ended up where I'm at. Just things got rough with FC Dallas, and I wanted to keep working. I know when things get hard, I just can't let them end like that. The things are in my hands. Those are things I can control. So I wanted to take the next step and go out to Mexico.
Well, and there are so many places that soccer is so much bigger than it is in the U.S. And for you already knew the language in Mexico, so that helped you out a lot, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I mean, Spanish was my first language. But going out there, yeah, I mean, a lot out there in Mexico, people really do realize when they know the people that aren't from there.
Right.
So even though I spoke Spanish, I'm full-blooded, I mean, going there, people still kind of looked at me like, are you lost? Everybody looking at every time I step on a bus or I'm walking or on a bike, people are still looking at me, but it's fine, I don't really worry about it. I know who I am. I don't really have to try to pretend to be somebody that I'm not. But it's easy, but it's hard because people do know when you're from there. So sometimes they'll mistreat you there. It really just depends. You can't really let the society out there kind of get to you.
And it really doesn't matter if you're from Texas or you're from California, even near the border of any of those states. They still consider you an American or an outsider, right?
Well, yeah, me, I'm light-skinned. I look American, so over there, you can expect that. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of Mexicans that go out there, that can be out there, and nobody will even think that they're from over here. But I guess because I'm light-skinned and, I've been over here almost my entire life, I guess I carry myself, as an American, as a Mexican-American, and, well, they know that. They realize that.
So what is your personal life there like?
It's, actually, it's real simple, people are like, oh, how much fun is it over there? You know, it must be a blast. And yeah, you know, it's fun. It's a great country. I love it. I absolutely love it. But I mean, it's different to
It's
say.
different.
It's I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Well, are you in Monterey when you are there? Are
No,
you
I'm
playing
actually
in?
right now. I'm in Guadalajara.
Oh, Guadalajara. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Is it very pretty
and
there?
so yeah, it's beautiful. And
It's
so right
beautiful.
now, I just everyday life, just train in the morning, just rest of the day, rest. I'll help my cousin out. That's a mechanic. Try to help my uncles out around the house, and then I'll go back and train at night. So I'm doing 2 days every day. And right now I'm in Guadalajara, and I'm just preparing and getting ready for those 2 tryouts that I'm pending on.
That's exciting. I think that's the life of a free agent, trying to figure out where they're going to play and, you know, what are their options as far as what teams they go with. I'm very excited for you.
Oh, thank you. And yeah, it's a lot. You know, it's out there right now. I have a promoter, so you know, a promoter, he kind of helps you. He's in all that soccer stuff. You know, they know people in big clubs. They you know, not necessarily know people, but they know how everything works. So like my promoter, you know, he'll help me get me to tryouts. You know, maybe talk to the coaches, see what needs to be done about, you know, if I didn't make it, what I need to work on, or, you know, if the coaches like the way I played, they would talk to my promoter on how I can stay, what needs to be done for me to stay, or however. But a promoter kind of, you know, just helps me move around in Mexico because me as a player, I've always played over here in the U.S., so I'm not too familiar on how everything works yet. You know, I've been in there a couple months, but to know exactly how it works, not exactly there yet, but, you know, my promoter helps me move around, talk to coaches, let me know what's good and what's bad, you know, what I should be expecting, what I shouldn't be from a club. So, I mean, it's, you know, somebody that's kind of helping me, guide me. Not necessarily opening doors for me, but guiding me through the process.
Well, and it sounds like here that would be compared to an agent, if you had an agent, a
Oh,
sports
yeah.
agent.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really great that you have that. How does your family do with you being in Mexico instead of being here? Because I know your mom and it lives here in Texas, and your brothers live here in Texas.
Yeah. I mean, it's, for them, I'm sure it's easier with the baby out of the house, you know.
You're the baby. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure for them, they're happy, but I mean, I guess they're happier that I'm chasing my dream.
Right.
They know that, you know, I'm out of the house. I was out of the house at 17, but they know that it's for a reason. They know it's not just because I want to be on my own. They know that I'm chasing my.
Are you there? I think we just lost him. Well, I hope we get him back. I know that he was saying he's chasing his dream, and Esteban is following his dream. He's 18, and he's playing pro soccer in Mexico. So one of the things that I think it's important that Esteban said was, you know, the things that he feels. Are you there?
Yeah.
Awesome. I don't know what happened.
Oh.
I'm so glad you're back.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Do you remember? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Where'd you lose me at?
Oh, you were talking about your family
okay, I'm
here.
sorry. I just kept talking, and I'm not sure where you lost me at exactly.
Well, you were talking about how your family feels about you being gone and how they know that you're chasing your dreams. And I know you are. And that's one of the things I wanted to even ask you more. What are your dreams from here?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat it?
What are your dreams from here? Because you've made pro soccer, and I know you're trying out for another team, these 2 teams. Where do you want to play after this? Like, what are you? I know you want to make this a career. It is a career right now, but you really want to do this for the rest of your life, right?
Yes, ma'am. It's something I would love to keep doing, and my future. Really, just once if I get into one of these first division clubs, from there is just got to keep working. That's my future. What I want for my future is to be on starting 11 squad of a professional team that that is on TV, that have thousands of fans every game. That's my goal. That's my future. Professionally, still playing right now. It's I'm not exactly there yet, but it's something that I'm working for. I hope to get in the future. Me personally, my favorite club in Mexico is Chivas from Guadalajara. So it would be an absolute dream for me to play there. What I'm working for is to be able to defend and with pride and with all heart and passion the club that I have loved my entire life. And from there, getting there is, moving up to the national team, trying to, be called to the national team, play games, consistently be there with the national team. If I'm consistently there, maybe get called for a big tournament, the Confederation Cup, the World Cup, whatever is possible.
Well, and that is a wonderful dream. That is wonderful. And I know a lot of, seems like that would be the pinnacle is the World Cup, right?
Yeah, that's, there's little tournaments leading up to the World Cup. You got Gold Cup, Copa America, Copa Libertadores. You have a lot of different cups with a lot of national teams from over here, United States, Mexico, Colombia, South American teams. But being able to make it to the World Cup, that's just, I feel like the dream ends there,
Yeah. Well, that's a great dream. That is it.
That's that point, yeah.
What would you say in closing, in our last 2 minutes, what would you say to kids out there that want to go pro? What would you suggest for them?
It's just, what I suggest is, a lot of times kids don't go through sports is because they're going through hard times. They don't know how to deal with it. Everybody goes through struggles, because their attitudes change or however they make partying and other stuff priorities, friends priorities. For the kids that want to be out there and do sports, it's something you got to really know from the beginning. Is this is something I really want to do? If it's something you just enjoy, have fun with it, Do something with it, have fun. But if it's something that you seriously want to do for the rest of your life, take it serious.
Take it serious.
No matter the struggles in life, no matter how hard things get, the sports are what's going to help you clear your mind. It helps you release stress, anger. It helps you just work in absolutely every work ethic you have in life.
Well, and
and work hard. I'm sorry.
Attitude is real important too. Yeah, because if you take that energy when you're in pain or you're angry or you're frustrated, if you take that energy and you put it into practice and with your sport, you put it into just letting all that rage out on the, to kick the ball or whatever, practice. And, for me, it was as well that I put a lot of that energy and endorphins and adrenaline into the sport, and then to also be disciplined as a daily thing. And I'm really, really thankful that you have been on the show today, Estevan. How would people reach you if they would like to talk to you?
They could reach me by email.
Okay.
If anybody out there is looking for any questions and anything I can help possible, whatever, I can help. And whatever I can, I will. But it would be to Estevan_Vazquez at yahoo.com. And that is ESTEVAN_VAZQUEZ at yahoo.com.
And I know that your microphone got a little funny. Let me just spell it again. ESTEV as in vase. AN. So Estevan with a V _Vasquez, VAZQUEZ at yahoo.com. And Thank you so much for being on. And of course, you can reach me at ablivingwell@gmail.com. And this is Ann Beal with Living Well and Estevan Vazquez talking about his soccer career, his pro soccer career at age 18. And we just hope it motivated you today and empowered you of how to help your kids become professionals as well, or to take your team at work and put it into a great team together. Thank you, Estevan, for being on.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And everyone have a good day.
You too. Everybody, have a great day. And remember, thank your moms on Mother's Day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you again for joining us. Living Well with Ann Beal airs live every Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel. We can't wait to see you again next week.